All right, today we're going to repot the tomato plants.
Am I putting what?
Are we putting drainage holes in these?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay. Not right now.
So I want to re-bury them all. So you basically just leave like 2 leaves. And then you bury up to that. So they should all only be sticking out of the dirt like that much.
Okay. So one that has multiples in, do you want me to pull them out?
As gently as possible because we can actually plant those.
Okay.
I mean, because we don't have enough, you know? Wait, why are you laughing?
Yep, I could see that.
We may not have enough.
That's true. We may not.
For the entire town. You'd think we were selling these starts at a farmer's market or something. One. So how much gardening have you done?
Mine were all patio gardens, and then I had a garden in my grandma's backyard that I did everything. So tilled it, put everything in.
What all did you grow?
Tomatoes, peppers, potatoes. What else did? Cucumbers.
Super tall ones.
Melon.
We're going to be able to go as short as we can, but I love melons. I really hope someday we'll get to do the watermelons. And last year my watermelon did not ripen. Actually, the one that I went ahead and did, it didn't ripen all the way. It just didn't have enough time.
Yeah. The best melon I got was a bird melon, one that the bird planted.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it was the most delicious, and I didn't even know it was there. I was like on the side of my house doing something. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look at that. It's a cantaloupe, and it was the best one I ever had.
That's so cool. Surprise melons.
Yep.
Oh,
that did not sound good.
Did not sound good.
I hope everything's okay.
She's just dropping.
Okay.
Dropping those shelving units. Moving all of the tool stuff over. So I don't normally replant like this. They go from this into the actual garden space. But most of my gardening came from when I was in Texas. And, you know, I've said this 100 times. You plant February 14th, that weekend. And,
Yeah.
and so you basically, you don't need to pre-do. You just put your seeds in the ground. You have such a big growing season that there's really no point. So this is something that's newer to me because I've just never had to do it.
Being in southern Idaho, we had to wait till after Mother's Day weekend before all the snow was off the mountain by our house.
Yeah.
So.
I love how easy tomatoes are, though.
Yep. Tomatoes are one of my favorite garden items.
I think I'm going to try and replant that one. This guy looks super sad.
Oh, he does. He's broken and everything.
He's had a hard
No
life.
judgment, friend.
No judgment.
Those two are dead.
But we're having to redo this because we don't have the garden area ready yet. And I really, really wish that I had a greenhouse. I think I'd like to, even though it's not going to be the greenhouse that's going to be the one that, you know, sticks and stays forever and ever. Because it won't be the self-heating one. But I do think that I want to do, we got to go hang out with Colleen and Virgil, and they had this amazing greenhouse. And walking in there and having it just be so warm was so nice.
See, we do meet up with subscribers. And we make some new friendships with people. It's amazing.
Exactly. And yeah, so they've got, I love their setup. I love how their place is. And that, you know, really definitely made me want to get something put in, because it was, I mean, it was like actually pretty chilly, I thought, that afternoon. Virgil was in short sleeves, but whatever. They have thicker skin than we do. And but it was so nice inside there.
Oh my gosh, sure was. Guess I shouldn't spread and take up all the space.
I mean, wasn't gonna say anything.
Rude.
But I'm not even putting the name tags anymore on these. Just saying.
This one doesn't look like a tomato. The rest do.
Yeah. It'll be surprise gardening later on. When you're like, that's not a tomato plant. That looks like a pepper. We know these are either tomatoes or peppers.
And it's pretty obvious looking at them which one's which.
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise. What kind of tomato is it?
Is it? Exactly.
That's what's going to be the surprise. We're going to be like, ooh, it's a surprise, blah, 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 blah.
It's a cherry tomato, not a beefsteak. So I did pick up those little, we're going to put one together from Walmart, the little tiny greenhouses that just go over your beds that you already have in place. And that's going to help us build the size of bed that we want to start out with. And
it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. But we'll be able to stick these guys under that. We are warming up, so that's really good. I'm very excited about warming up.
It's supposedly a really nice day outside, but it feels like,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's a nice, beautiful, sunny 60.
It said it was supposed to be 60, and I feel like it's not. It did say cloudy, though.
But it's like, I don't know, overcast, and just, I don't feel like, it's like one of those beautiful
Like,
days.
whoa, it's 60, yay!
Yeah, exactly.
I want to just go take a nap. I'm like, this is napping weather, which I have a tendency to say a lot here lately. I feel like I've just been like, napping weather. Winter was harsh.
Well, it was just super long. So there is something that Heather figured out today.
Yeah, randomly in the truck, I'm like, you realize we only have about 5.5 to 6 more months until winter's back.
And then we both just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Yeah. I remember whenever I was my very first garden, and people were like, you know, pick these down to 2 leaves and then transplant them, and, you know, or whatever. And I was like, I was murdering plants. Like, that was so hard for me to do. And I'd feel all guilty when you have to do the thinning, when you have to thin them out, you know, because you put 4 seeds. I think I'm the person that just needs to do the pre-starts like Darla was doing in between the paper towels, so that you could just pick those off and plant them. And you don't have to rip anybody out of their bed and stuff like that. Violently rip them out. And
So I didn't mind the thinning so much, but it was the taking it down to like one leaf and stuff.
yes, when you have one that's like this.
Yeah.
And then you have to choose who gets to stay and go.
Just spends more time on the good guys.
So have you ever bought a plant like from the store, and then like these, the tomatoes, where you could cut the limbs off and replant them? So you get like 5 or 6 plants from one plant that you buy?
I have picked the ones that had multiple plants in them, but not ever made more than one out of one plant.
I have done that, where where the parts, the leaves that you cut off or the limbs that you cut off, you just plant.
Oh, see,
And they will grow. Every one of the tomato stems will grow leaves. You see how they're all fuzzy?
Yeah.
I mean, not leaves. They'll grow roots.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
See, I learned something new.
I don't know everything, but I know some things.
I know some things too. The good thing is we know different
things. Exactly.
So, we can help each other out.
So I can't decide if it's easier to just plant this whole thing with its whole little beginner thing, or
I think
ripping them out of that.
It's almost easier to take them out.
I agree. Probably not going to do that, but still.
Because it's hard to get the dirt around. Whoops.
Well, I figure the water will settle that, and then you got to come back and put more dirt in it later. We have a ridiculous amount of tomato plants right now. But I figure if anybody needs some and they don't have some, we can give them to them or whatever. Or if we just get our act together and I quit taking naps, then we can actually get the garden in and have a bunch of tomatoes and get a ton of tomato sauce. Plus, if we get a little bit of a greenhouse, we'll definitely be able to extend the growing season.
Now that's what I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
Extending the growing season.
Yeah, because usually with just a regular unheated greenhouse, you can add 2 months on, a month early and a month late. And obviously, if you were going to heat it, you could add a whole lot more, but okay, so I'm not going to plant all of these. Don't look, those 3 have been murdered.
Oh. Let's use the word murdered. Jeez.
That's gonna go bye-bye. How's that? Is that better? Go bye-bye?
Go bye-bye.
Go bye-bye. Oh, so how old were you when you put in your first garden? What year? How long after you got out of the military did you put in your first garden? That might be a better.
I was on the patio. Like, we lived in apartments for a really long time, but I did patio gardening for years and years.
Have you seen those things that people have that can stack up and you put your...
Yeah, now those
would not have been amazing.
They were not around back then, because that would have been amazing.
Yep.
I did do the hanging tomato pots
upside down?
Yeah.
Yep, my stepdad loved those.
And they were okay. They just seemed kind of unnatural.
I have to see if this guy survives, because
they seemed a little unnatural. So this is a great idea. Let's pot a bunch of plants and then be in a place where you can't wash your hands.
Yeah. I guess I need to cut my nails. They've gotten long.
Yeah, mine too. Same.
Well, I had my first garden 2006. No, it was earlier than that. 2004. I would say my first real garden. My first real in the ground. I did container gardening as far as a pot, and I would put, lettuce or whatever in it to grow salad. Victor's a huge salad eater.
My son too.
But my first big, what I would call a successful garden, I had two neighbors that had finished the master gardening program. And so when they saw me show up and start, I had to till. We were in Texas. It was red clay.
Yeah.
It was like cement.
Kind of like Hawaiian soil, huh?
Yeah. And then, so we did a bunch of tilling. I brought in a whole bunch of bags, went to Walmart, you know, high quality. Went to Walmart, got a bunch of different kinds of manure. And I didn't even know what to get, so I just got like a whole bunch of each. And then I mixed them all together. And just kind of started layering the dirt. And Victor tilled it all up. He was about 10 years old. So he tilled it all up. And then we just made these rows with these bags as far as mixing all the stuff. And that was such a successful garden. And that's where I found the absolute love of get up in the morning, get your cup of coffee or cup of tea. I wasn't drinking coffee at the time. I did not drink coffee until I was 38 years old. Man down. Not even had a cup of coffee until I was 38 years old. And so I'd drink my tea and I'd go out there and I'd had little chairs set up and stuff. And so I'd go out there and I had my rabbits. So I had meat rabbits at the time. And I made extra long cages that were the width of my aisleways. And so they'd start out at the end by the fence, and then throughout the day I'd just pull them up, and so they'd eat anything that was in the aisle, and then they'd poop, and I would just rake that poop up on the thing.
Yeah.
And then they got any extras as I was pruning and stuff. I just chunked them extra stuff, and so that was like way before that was a thing. I was doing that. Yeah. I was smart and didn't even know it. And that garden, I ended up would walk out there in the morning with a basket and would collect everything for the day. I had we had little baby watermelons, sweet baby watermelons, and cantaloupe. So I'd pick 4 of those a day, 2 of each. So 2 baby watermelons, 2 cantaloupes, and we would I'd cut that up for the day, and that was our like sweet snack, you know. And then however many vegetables that looked ready to pick, because I didn't really know much. So I was just like, oh, this looks like it came from the grocery store, so I'll pick that. And would bring that all in, and then I would make my menu for the day based off whatever we had.
That's awesome. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and then I bought this book, Small Batch Canning, and I'll post a picture of it here. Small Batch Preserving, I think is what it is. And that is my ultimate favorite book. I learned to can with that book, and I learned to can recipes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's basically just small amounts, and then you would get 5 jars of sweet pickled relish to put on your hamburgers or your hot dogs, and I loved everything that I had in it. It was so good. And that's where I got my joy of gardening and canning, and I kind of learned how to do all the things at that same time.
That's awesome.
And it was very exciting. You know, the thing about it was it was very exciting to grow your own food. My mom and my aunt grew up where they had to grow their own food, so they did not want to grow it. So I didn't grow up in a household that had a garden. And they were almost mad that I wanted to do that because they did everything to get away from it. And then I was like the one kid that was, how can I get back to a farm? But I was really poor because I was a single mom. So that was kind of pretty much was, this is how I can afford to eat really good.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to choose between groceries and light, you know, the lights, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, because I just started growing on my own. And that's whenever I would go, you know, that's another reason why I did meat rabbits, was because they were easier to process than chickens, I was told, and I agree. And they, you could use their manure immediately.
Do they taste like rabbit?
They do.
They taste like chicken?
It does. It's like your darker chicken, and you can take any chicken recipe and substitute rabbit meat, and you'll get a very, basically, it'll taste the same.
Nice.
So, I don't know. That was kind of my first step into really becoming mesmerized by this kind of life, leading this kind of life.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
Man down.
Already fell.
Oh, we're not gonna have enough.
Look at the bottom of that cup. It's the cup. It's
Terrible.
deformed.
It came just like that.
I don't know.
You're supposed to say, yeah, I didn't
Yes,
do that.
yes.
It came just like that.
Yes, it came just like that. I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
I don't.
I do dream of a beautiful greenhouse with chairs and a great space to do this kind of stuff.
I was always the one planting on the patio before it was time, and having family members be like, "You're going a little crazy." And I'm like, I like gardening. So it's always been a thing for me too, although I never had the land to like do a good garden or a yard that was.
One of my best salad situation setups was this pipe that somebody cut the top of it off, and it was just like laying in the yard, and it had rusted enough on the bottom that there was like drainage holes, and so I just filled it full of dirt and like got mixed salad seeds and threw it all in there. Lasted me all year long. It was right on my porch, so you
That's
could just
awesome.
walk right out. And I don't think you have to do all the crazy things. I think sometimes just something like that, and you slowly start. I don't slowly start anything.
Me neither.
They're not wrong when they tell me you're going a little crazy. Like, you really need 100 tomatoes and you don't have your garden set up yet. Maybe. I love it. I love sitting in the garden. And that's where I would end up being, like, and Victor got very into it also as a kid. It was just really pretty neat because he would be like, what was ready today? What are we having today? And he always ate his vegetables.
Hey, I think you're breaking rules.
What do you mean?
I thought we were taking all but just one
Some
leaf
of them are too long.
and putting them all the way up
I
here.
can't cram the whole thing down in there.
What?
What were you cramming them?
No.
Look how pretty yours are, though. Yours are like all perfect. How did you do that then? If they were super long?
Well,
ones?
none of mine are like yours.
Oh, okay. It is way more fun to do this with somebody
Oh,
than all by yourself.
She's trying to say she likes me.
No.
I never get that from Heather. She likes me, but she never says it. This is also the girl that hugs everybody at church, but won't hug anybody in the household. Not that I want her to do a bunch of hugging of me, but the one or two times I've made her, forced her to do it, it was awkward.
This is awkward.
Like, really?
Yes. I have cooked for you. That's how I show people that I care about them. A hug isn't that big of a deal for me.
See, my thing is, if I'm going to cook for myself, I'll cook for somebody else. I They could be my enemy and I'll still feed them.
No, I won't. You'll starve. If I don't like you, I am not cooking for you.
See, I'll still feed my enemies. I want everybody to be fed.
Well, you may get fed, but it may only be like a hot dog. It's not going to be anything amazing.
Gourmet?
Yeah.
No gourmet.
No gourmet. I have to say, that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to with the garden. I've got this other book that is garden. It's like a growing a garden for specific recipes, which I think is kind of silly, but anything you've got to do to get someone to put plants in the ground. I always think it's really comical, and I've done this, and this is why I think it's comical, is because the anxiety and the stress that I have put on myself of growing something. Like,
which is so funny to me because you're doing YouTube. That's like that is like the most stressful and anxiety.
Well, I wasn't back in
starting
2006.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
But I remember, I think it was just because I had a lot of flack from my mom. Well, not my mom, but my aunt and my grandma. And they were like, why, when you can go to the grocery store, you know? Kind of one of those things that we used to have to do that, and now we don't have to.
Homegrown is so much tastier.
So much better. And what really got me going. It peed on you?
It must have looked.
Look at that. You scared it. It
Apparently.
wet its plants.
It wet its plants. Oh my.
So there was a second book that I bought that was specifically, and I need to get into my storage shed because I've got some really good books, and I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it was, I don't think it was Garden to Table, but it was, they had recipes, and then they told you everything that you could plant and grow in your garden for that recipe, and then it gave you the list of the other things you would need.
That's amazing.
Which was really pretty neat.
I would definitely have a salsa garden.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The rooster is behind us. I say again, the rooster is behind us. The roosters, this is their last hoorah because they're going to freezer camp because I am tired of being attacked. But we got a few more. We only had 2 baby chickens hatch in the incubator. So we're going to do another round.
But we got a bunch of ducks.
Bunch of ducks.
Lots of ducks.
But we're splitting the ducks. We're splitting the ducks with Carrie. So we don't have, we'll have 7, 8 maybe here.
Oh, that won't be bad.
No. If our trees, if our little fruit trees do well and our garden does well, we'll be in a really good spot this year. Food-wise.
Now, we won't get fruit off the trees this year, will we?
No. I think these are considered, they say your first year, pick all your fruit flowers off. And,
Then it puts it into growing.
yeah, you get better root system. And we saw how small, bad those, I mean, they're not bad, but they're, I don't know what they are. They could be bad. Not a lot of roots on those, so that makes a lot of sense to give it that every single opportunity to actually grow roots. Because as soon as it starts growing fruit, it stops putting that energy into the root system. Oh, I just did that.
I didn't see anything.
So we won't get any fruit this year. We will get blueberries if we can get the chickens recaged.
Oh, I love blueberries.
Yeah. If we get some raspberries or blackberries, we could definitely get those this year. So the berries we could get.
Planting's cathartic. I love it.
It is. I do wish I could sit down. It hurts my back. But my back issues, so. That's what she said.
That just reminds me of that time when we were looking through the seeds and I just started laughing. Us sitting there. And
Yeah. And you looking like a 3rd grader.
Yeah, I was brand new to the YouTubing thing, and she wanted me to sit in front of a camera and talk about seeds, and I was like, the table was like here to
I don't
me.
know how
and I
that
was,
happened.
like, so awkward.
I don't even know how that happened. That was so funny. I do like taking them out of those because you can do this with your dirt on one side.
Yep.
And then just lay it in there.
Yep. I have to say, this potting soil is very moist, but it's clumpy.
Yes. It's very clumpy. It feels like they wet it down right before we bought it.
Red Solo Cup, you lift me up. Let's have a party.
Might get signed. I don't even think he'd be mad you sang the song.
Yep. That's it. We're done, yeah?
Yeah. I went overboard on the bags. I bought 4 and we didn't even go through 2.
Well, last time we thought we bought plenty, and then we didn't end up having enough, so totally makes sense
We
to
get
me.
to plant more things.
Totally makes sense. There we go.
Awesome. So that is basically our peppers. We do have some cherry tomatoes that we're going to do, that we are going to also do because I don't think we had any in here.
Hi.
Yeah. We should be hand models.
We should.
So now we've got to put together our little tiny greenhouse that we bought and figure out exactly where we're going to set this up so that the chickens don't destroy our work. Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. I appreciate it.
I do too. I was counting.
If you haven't subscribed, I'd hope that you would consider subscribing. We do a lot of different things. We're building a shipping container tiny home. We're getting into our gardening, growing our own food, raising our own food up here in northern Idaho on a mountain.
And a lot of our videos are a lot more fun than this.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot you can do with planting.
There's really not.
There's just not.
But
So come on back.
go watch like 5 more and then
Yes.
decide. Bye.
Bye. Are you still here? What? I thought you have gone.